Hello everyone and welcome to the Research School of Chemistry ANU Open Day. My name is Penny Brothers. I'm the Director of the Research School of Chemistry. I'm going to kick off this event by talking to you just for a few minutes about why chemistry is such a central science that is so important to solving some of the big issues that are facing the world. Before I start in on that, I'm just going to talk for a minute about the sculpture that is virtually hanging behind my head. This is a larger-than-life sculpture made by a local artist that hangs in the foyer of the Research School of Chemistry at ANU. And it depicts a long biomolecule, a protein, and the pattern that it folds into. Why I like this sculpture when I'm thinking about chemistry is that I like to think about the relationship between art and science. And that relationship is very close. The kind of imagination and creativity that artists use to create their work is exactly the same kind of imagination and creativity that scientists use when they are looking at the kinds of issues in the world that need work right now. So that interface is very close and very important. I'm sharing my screen now, and this is what I'm going to talk about for the next few minutes. And it's just a vignette of why it's valuable to study chemistry. And I'm going to focus on chemistry and sustainability. I could have focused on many other topics, but I've chosen this one because it's one that's on our mind right now. And it also illustrates nicely some of the reasons why chemistry is such a central science. So this is like a mini lecture, the kind of thing that you might encounter when you study chemistry at the ANU. It has a little bit of chemistry in it, which should be accessible if you've done some chemistry at school. And it just gives you a picture of why many different facets of chemistry are important in our modern world. So these are some of the big questions about energy and about sustainability. So the kinds of questions that we can ask is how much energy do we consume globally? How much energy can sunlight provide if we were to use that as a sustainable source of energy? Could it realistically meet all our needs? What are the challenges to harnessing and storing this energy, and can we do it in a sustainable way? And this is the most important question in the context of this discussion today. Why is chemistry critical to answering these questions? If we consider the world's current energy consumption, it's currently around 14 terawatts. A terawatt is 10 to the power of 12 watts. Now, out of that huge amount of energy, and we'll come into a minute in thinking about what that huge amount of energy actually means, we get about 87% of that total world energy consumption from fossil fuels, and we know that that's not sustainable. If we were to use nuclear power, for example, to provide all of the energy required by the world, we'd need 14,000 nuclear power plants. And currently, we've got less than 500 worldwide. So something that, like nuclear, is not going to be able to solve our problems. And there's a big question about whether oil can be used sustainably. And I think really the answer to that is no. If we just think for a minute about what this 10 to the 12 watts of energy consumption really means, if we just need to think about what a watt is. So a watt is a unit of power, and what that does is it measures the rate of energy produced or consumed. So 1 watt equals 1 joule of energy produced or consumed per second. Now, just to get our head into the right space for understanding the scale of things, something that is 5 milliwatts, remember milli means divide by 1,000, so a 5 milliwatt laser pointer is something that we might be familiar with. Those are those little handheld laser pointers that are typically green or red. If we go up by a few powers of 10 to 5 watts, a little LED lamp, excuse me, the kind that glow on all our electronic devices these days is 5 watts. Jumping up in power again, a 75 watt light bulb, simple incandescent light bulb. 200 watts is the amount of energy that you consume when you're walking up a set of stairs. 1,000 watts, or a kilowatt, remember kilo means multiply by 1,000, is the amount of energy consumed by a typical household. Jumping up again, 25 kilowatts is a car engine. And that's kind of interesting to think that the rate of energy used by a car engine is 25 times higher than the rate of energy used by a household. And jumping up now to a megawatt, that means mega means multiplied by a million. That would be the energy contained in a lightning strike. A gigawatt, 10 to the 9 watts, is the energy produced by a nuclear power plant. And finally, 14 terawatts. So we've now jumped up from 10 to the 9 to 10 to the 12. 14 terawatts is the world energy consumption. So that just puts it really on a logarithmic scale to give us a feeling for just how much energy we're talking about. If we think about renewable energy resources, if we think about weaning ourselves off our dependence on fossil fuels, I've shown here the kinds of renewable energy that are available to us. So tides or oceans, hydroelectric, wind, geothermal, or biomass. And you look at the amount of energy that is available from each of them is actually not enough to satisfy the world demand, except possibly geothermal, except only a small fraction of that is recoverable. But if we now consider solar, which has 120,000 terawatts arriving at the Earth's surface, and remember our demand is 14 terawatts. So even if it's not practical to harness all that solar energy, it turns out it's probably practical to harness about 800 terawatts of solar energy. So if we compare that with 14 terawatts for the world demand, we can see that there's plenty of solar energy. There's more than enough to satisfy world demand. The big issue is that how do we sustainably and practically harness and convert that energy? Well, this is the thing that chemists are really good at. And if we think about the fossil fuels that we are most familiar with, most fuels use chemical bonds to store energy. And so if we just think, for example, about gasoline, which is a simple hydrocarbon, when we burn it, we release this energy. So there's an equation there for the burning of octane, a simple hydrocarbon, with oxygen producing CO2 and water. And we know that delta H is over 5,000 kilojoules per mole exothermic. So we release that energy that was stored in the chemical bonds. Problem is, of course, that fossil fuels are a non-renewable resource, and the other problem with them is that it releases a lot of CO2 back into the atmosphere, and we know there are environmental problems associated with that. One of the really useful things about fossil fuels, alkanes, is that they have a very high energy density. So 60 mils of gasoline contains the same energy as a fully charged lead acid battery. So you think about a car battery, it's heavy and nasty to lug around, and just think about, quarter of a cup full of gasoline contains as much energy. Now, we use the energy of fossil fuels, energy contained in stored in chemical bonds, and plants use the same trick. Plants also store energy in chemical bonds. And here's just a schematic which shows how photosynthesis works. It's kind of a complicated diagram. There's a little bit of a key here that we have this light coming in, which is captured by this special pair. And what that does is it uses that energy to drive a chemical redox reaction that produces an electron and a hole. The hole goes to producing oxygen, and the electron goes to essentially making hydrogen, which is stored as NADPH. So there's the capture of light energy, making oxygen, making hydrogen. So it looks complicated, but it's actually really remarkable that it uses very simple chemistry not simple chemistry. It does all of this at room temperature and pressure under very mild conditions, and that's what we want to work for. So can we copy plants? Can we use light energy to split water? So what we really want to do is take that very simple idea that we take water, we add some energy, we do the uphill reaction, which puts energy into the system. We would store it as the chemical bonds, essentially the chemical bonds in hydrogen, and then we recombine it when we want to release that energy, and that's very energetic. That's a downhill reaction. So we would recombine hydrogen and oxygen to release that energy. And the device that would do this is essentially a solar fuel cell. So We have a solar fuel cell, a device made of all kinds of interesting new materials developed by chemists. Sun shines on that, takes water, uses that energy to convert water. This is the uphill reaction into hydrogen and oxygen. We store the hydrogen, then we burn it to release the energy when required. So how much energy could we get out of this system? Well, if we take this reaction, water going to hydrogen and oxygen, that is uphill, endothermic, requires 237 kilojoules per mole. And if we were to figure out how much energy we could store based on a volume of water, converting a volume of water to hydrogen and oxygen, if we take this amount and convert it to joules per litre, we get about 1 million joules per litre. The Beijing Olympic pool, that famous water cube, contains a volume of about 1 million litres of water. So if we converted that 1 million litres of water to hydrogen and oxygen per second, that would give us 43 terawatts. So the power available in just an Olympic pool size amount of water would be more than twice as much as more than 3 times as much as what's required to power the world. So there's a lot of energy available from water. And yeah, so these are the challenges for chemists. So how are we going to make this practical and sustainable? If we were to use sunlight energy to split water to produce hydrogen, and then to be able to burn that hydrogen to generate energy. Well, we need a catalyst. If you think about it, the sun shines on oceans and lakes and rivers all the time, but oceans and lakes and rivers don't spontaneously convert into hydrogen and oxygen. So we need a catalyst, which can be a solid material or molecule. And this could be a solid oxide, it could be a molecular species like this, or we could learn from photosynthesis and look at the metal complex in photosynthesis. And so they can be solid materials, molecules, or biomolecules. And the chemist's challenge is to design and make a catalyst that will allow this reaction to happen sustainably and efficiently. The next challenge for chemists is hydrogen storage. Now, hydrogen is a gas. If we were to store it as a compressed gas, there's 2 problems with it. First of all, it's an explosion hazard. And secondly, the energy density is still low, too low. So we talked about energy densities before, but let's just have another look. So this is energy densities in megajoules per litre. So compressed hydrogen has an energy density of about 5.6 megajoules per litre. Gasoline has an energy density of about 34 megajoules per litre. And just to put that in context, a ham and cheese sandwich has an energy density of about 10 megajoules per litre. Ham and cheese sandwich just gives you a feeling for something that you can, how much energy is in a ham and cheese sandwich compared to gasoline or compressed hydrogen. But we can see that per litre, gasoline, a fossil fuel, contains way more energy than compressed hydrogen. So just simply compressing the gas costs a lot of energy to compress it, and it's also not practical. So what would be more practical? An example might be to store the hydrogen as solid hydrogen-containing materials. So a simple solid that is hydrogen-rich and undergoes a simple process to release hydrogen when we want to use it, but can also be recharged, so can restore the hydrogen so you can cycle it around. So that's another challenge for chemists, is figuring out how to store that hydrogen. Even if you have hydrogen storage materials, though, there's still challenges to do with collecting it, recycling it, and reprocessing it. The next challenge is the hydrogen fuel cell, and this is the end of the process. We've converted water to hydrogen, we've stored it as perhaps a solid hydrogen-containing material, and then we need to combine the hydrogen and oxygen to produce energy. So this is kind of the opposite of the solar fuel cell. This is which is an energy storing fuel cell. This is an energy releasing fuel cell. And again, the reaction of hydrogen and oxygen together is explosive. If you've ever seen that experiment where somebody takes a balloon full of hydrogen and lights it and it goes up in a bang. Now that releases a lot of energy, but not in a way that is very usable. So in order to do that same reaction, we need to be able to do it in a super controlled way that releases the energy in a form that's usable and in a form that we can control it. And so to do that, you need a whole lot of other new materials. You need electrodes, these are redox reactions, you need membranes to separate the cells, and also you need a catalyst. So more new materials with tailored properties. So really thinking about just this little sustainability story, if we were to bring to bear the skills of a whole bunch of chemists, and that will be you folk in the future, to solve some of these sustainability problems, we need to think about what skills chemists need. And so there's really just a summary here of different branches of chemistry, and I won't read them all out, but all of them are useful and important when you come to use your skills as a chemist of the future to solve these problems. Now, why have I picked this particular set of skills? I've picked this set of skills because these are the research areas that the Research School of Chemistry at the ANU are specialists in. And so we have this collection of skills in our school ready and waiting to induct you into them as a chemistry student. And the important thing is that you are the chemists who will meet these challenges in the future. So if you're to study in the Research School of Chemistry, the expert researchers that are experts in all of these areas of chemistry are the same people that teach our courses. We have an award-winning first-year chemistry program, and it's carried out in new buildings and labs. It's really a shame that you're not able to be here at ANU present in person today to look around our beautiful building and labs, but we still hope that we can welcome you in person in the future, and we look forward to seeing you.
Everyone, welcome to the RSC's, or the Research School of Chemistry's 2021 Open Day presentation. My name is Mark Ellison. I'm first year chemistry convener in the Research School of Chemistry. In 2020, we had to cope with the movement from in-person learning to online learning. And the Research School of Chemistry managed the challenges for our students associated with this transition extremely well indeed. And the survey results sort of indicated minimal negative impact on student learning, except of course our lab work compared to in-person instruction. And we found that communicating with the students and assessing specific needs such as access to technology, being flexible with the structure and assessment of the course helped that transition to remote learning. So now on with the slides, just some people to introduce. So our school director is Professor Penny Brothers. We have Megan Amara, who's the Associate Director of Education, and she's responsible for the overview of the education within the Research School of Chemistry. And then there's myself, Mark Ellison, who is responsible for first year. First year chemistry, probably what most of you are interested in at the moment. And in terms of the structure, we offer 2 6-unit courses, Chemistry 1 and Chemistry 2. And you will need to pass Year 12 Chemistry to actually undertake Chemistry 1. If you haven't got Year 12 Chemistry, I'll talk about the bridging course in a few minutes. You'll also need to complete Chemistry 1 to undertake Chemistry 2. One of the strengths of the ANU science degree is it gives you lots of flexibility to take non-science electives throughout your undergraduate degree. So a standard load in first year is 8 units per year, 8 subjects per year. You only need 2 chemistry courses per year. This leaves you 6 other non-chemistry courses in first year. And it's that flexibility which enables you to sort of broaden your subjects. Just the photograph on the right-hand side of the slide is of Lara Malins, and she's one of our high-achieving earlier career researchers in biological and organic chemistry. So, as I mentioned, that you would need chemistry at the year 12 level to start first year chemistry at the ANU. If you haven't got that, we do offer a short 8-day chemistry bridging course, and that's usually held in early February, 5th to the 14th of February in 2022. It's intense. You can see it's 24 lectures, tutorials, and there are 4 lab sessions, but it works. And we've had remarkable success with the bridging course, with people going into Chemistry 1 as well as higher level chemistry as well, with a significant amount of passion. Lincoln went through the bridging course this year, and no doubt you have something more to say about his experience in that course. Moving on to second year, and you just need to pass Chemistry 1 and Chemistry 2 to take any second year Chem course. We offer 6 unit courses, and you just need to complete 3 of these at second year chemistry to give you a minor in chemistry. If you want to complete more courses in chemistry, then you can obviously go on and complete a minor or an advanced specialisation. A lot of jargon there, majors, minors, specialisations. Part of my job is to guide you through the language of a degree and actually assist with course selection and selection of majors and minors, etc. There's a whole heap of support available to you. Yeah, just a slightly deeper look at first year chemistry. Our chemistry content is very similar to what you would get at other universities in Australia. A major advantage, however, is our small class sizes. You have a dedicated first year convener. I'll know your name, I'll support your learning, and we have a vibrant drop-in centre in chemistry, which is the chemistry community that Andy Delaney was mentioning. This small class sizes is something that's quite special about the ANU and will make your experience in chemistry really quite personal. We've been very successful in catering for the needs of students with a wide range of abilities, and we don't mind whether you are going to complete a major in chemistry or not. If you're in first year chemistry, you'll get a fantastic experience. You'll be well looked after, and you'll be very welcome into the chemistry community. And part of the success of first year chemistry is the fact that we have a dedicated first year convener. We've got some very talented PhD teaching fellows who work with me to present tutorials and laboratory sessions. And the advantage of these PhD teaching fellows is that they're a little bit younger, closer in age to our current undergraduates. And I think also that's a very good thing when you're trying to offer some peer mentoring. We also offer a very successful small group tutorial program with 10 to 15 people per session. And that gives you the opportunity to ask some more focused questions, also questions that you may feel intimidated to ask in a large lecture setting. We've got also an outstanding group of highly motivated peer mentors. We draw our peer mentors from our second year students. And this is part of the pathway that you can go through with chemistry. After first year, if you want to continue on to second year, you can be involved in the peer mentoring program. Once you've completed the peer mentoring program and you move into third year, you can then become a demonstrator and then go and demonstrate to some first year students in our first year laboratories. So there's a nice little pathway there for you. Just in addition to the support there, we do offer an honours pathway option, and that just enables people who are super interested in chemistry just to expand on the basic general principles. And there's generally content that's not in a textbook and is generally related to the lecturer's research. And finally, just to again introduce our 2 student presenters today. Andy Delaney is currently a PhD student. She's also a Westpac scholar and a postgraduate teaching fellow. And Lincoln Hall is currently in first year and is also a first year class representatives. And they'll tell you the truth about how the research school of chemistry actually operates and functions. And then finally, obviously, a big thank you. If you have any queries or questions, please do email me or our teaching administrator, and we're very happy to answer them. So now I'd just like to introduce Lincoln Hall, who is currently in first year and has come through the chemistry bridging course. In fact, Lincoln was the top student in Chemistry 1 last semester who came through the Chem bridging course. So Lincoln.
Thank you, Mark. Hello, and it's a pleasure to talk about chemistry. I was completely new to chemistry until I came here to the ANU, and have really enjoyed my time so far. I started my degree after living a bit of life in different, pursuing different things, and then started my degree last year. So I finished 12 months, but I've only done 6 months of chemistry because you need to do Chemistry 1 before you do Chemistry 2. So I came really fresh and really open to what chemistry had to offer. I had no experience. I didn't do it when I was at high school. I turned up to the bridging course on day 1 in February this year, and I was like, okay, great, what do we got? And there was a lot of information, and there were also many opportunities for support with that information. So it kind of balanced out. But at first it was kind of overwhelming because I didn't have a reference point. So the support that was provided was really, really important. So it was 8 days, time in the lab, most of those days, lots of lectures, lots of content, and a massive sigh of relief after it was over. And then Chemistry 1 started, and there's a range of topics that are covered. There's a number of lecturers, including Mark. And like Mark mentioned, there's a big support team that is constantly available if you're willing to kind of take up the offer. It's there, it's definitely available, and there's an open door in the drop-in centre, or if you're learning remotely or can't come in as often, there's online support as well. So a week in the life of a Chem 1 student, I thought that's maybe a useful framework to just talk you through what my regular week looked like in terms of how engaged I was with chemistry. So the lectures were, at least last semester, all online, and I guess it's a moving feast. I can't remember which one it is, but it's changing. Who knows what it's going to be like this semester, but for us it was online, the lectures. So they were released on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I found that watching one lecture a day was kind of enough for my brain. And sometimes if I tried to, like, 3 was out of the question, 2 at a stretch, but making sure that I kept up to date with the lectures was really important, because you just need time to let it sink in. And then I did my my lab in person on a Monday. Personally, I like the idea of getting ahead at the start of the week. But for other people, that may not work with your schedule, or you may not actually have heard all of the lecture content that's relevant to that lab. They usually line up pretty well, but sometimes people lack a little bit more time before jumping in on a Monday. So how would you make it work? For me, we did the lab, and after each lab, there's a lab report that you need to submit. And I tried to get that done on the Monday or the Tuesday just to stay on top of it, especially coming, you know, some people will be much more familiar with the Chem content because they've had experience in high school, but as a bridging course person fresh to it, I really needed to keep it regular. There's also the peer mentors, which were brilliant at going, here are some key things that you might need to know in order to submit that lab report and understand those key concepts. What else? So that's the lectures, that's the lab report. Later on in the week, I would attend the small group tutorials and also the lectorials, lectorial being a combo of a lecture and tutorial, hence lectorial. which is like an opportunity with the teacher of that content in the room, but you're going through questions kind of in your own time or in small groups, but you can contact that teacher regarding the content. And again, it was quite a fun way. You have little scratchies.
Yeah.
So you can find out the answer to your questions. And it's like a little quiz just to revise the content. And the questions that are in the lectorials and the questions that have gone through in the small groups were really great revision for the exams, because the format's very similar, quite thorough with the content. It's always going to be something different. There'll probably be some kind of curveball in an exam just to keep everyone kind of on their toes a little bit. But that content is a really great guide. So I held on to all of those handouts in revision for the exams. There's I guess it depends. I'm not sure what Chem 2 does, but in Chem 1 there's a 3. There's like a quiz, and then there's test 1, test 2, spread out pretty evenly. And it was really great to manage the content in bite-sized chunks rather than one big exam at the end, which would be overwhelming. That's what a week looked like. That's it. Yeah.
What about coffee?
I don't drink coffee, but there is like a little kitchenette in the drop-in centre. There's a vending machine which was introduced halfway last semester, and I may or may not have purchased a number of packets of chips. And like Mark said, it's really open door, lots of community there if you take up the offer. It's a really friendly space, and I thought that I would be doing Chem as a prerequisite to the kind of biology angle that I'm going towards, which I need to have that first year Chem base. But I'm probably going to minor in chemistry as well, because I enjoy the learning and I enjoy the energy around the subject.
Hi, my name's Andy. So I'm recently started my PhD here at the ANU, and I'm doing my PhD in inorganic chemistry. But I did my entire undergraduate and my honours year at ANU as well. So that's probably a testament to how much the chemistry community is just so good at ANU, and how much I've learned from doing chemistry at ANU as well. So I started university in 2017, and my first year I really didn't know what I was going to do. So I took physics, maths, chemistry and biology as sort of like the 4 core science subjects. And I definitely found chemistry to be the most intellectually interesting for me. But the real reason I was drawn to it so much is because the community is just so fantastic. There's so much support in chemistry at ANU because of how good the lecturers are, and just how the other students are all willing to help each other as well. So for that reason, I really stuck with it. So I'm just going to first talk about kind of the academic stuff. So the chemistry curriculum at ANU is really broad, and I feel like I've learnt a broad range of different types of chemistry. So biological chemistry, inorganic chemistry, organic chemistry, and that gives me a really good standing point for the rest of my career. Since it's a smaller uni at ANU, the classes are quite small as well. And that means you get a really personal engagement with the academics or with the lecturers. And that's a really positive thing. So the lecturers, they know your face, sometimes they know your name if you attend enough tutorials and lectures, and they're really invested in your development as well. They want you to do well, they want you to learn, and having that personal connection is a really strong thing to have at a university. And that means it's also quite easy to approach lecturers who you want to maybe do a research project with. So for my degree, I ended up doing a lot of semester-long research projects, and I found that really, really valuable. And all the academics or lecturers I worked with were really, again, invested in my development as a researcher and gave me the skills that I now use in my PhD studies. So I had a really good foundation from the start. But beyond the academic stuff, the community and support is really, really fantastic. So it kind of covers multiple levels as well. So for undergraduate, we have the ANU Chemistry Society, which I was vice president of for 2 years. And during this time, I saw just how much the community came together at these events, not just the undergraduates, but also the staff, postgraduates, professional staff and research staff. It's a really positive experience to have the entire research school come together to, have a barbecue, go to a fancy ball, listen to an academic give a lecture. So there's lots of educational and social events that the ANU Chemistry Society organises. And it's a really positive way to make friends and also learn something. So that was really enjoyable. And not that many societies get attendance by academics. So I think it really is a testament to just how good the community in chemistry is. For postgrads, there's a similar thing, which is the HCR committee. They also organise social and educational events. And also everyone at chemistry knows there's like a drop-in centre, and that's where everyone's welcome to come and hang out. And I met a lot of friends just hanging out at the drop-in centre. So even that really has a great impact on the community. I also wanted to shout out to Mark over here, as well as some of the other academics. My honours year happened during COVID, and they worked so hard at making sure we were kind of supported through COVID, that we could still do our research. And again, that really shows just how strong, how much the academics really care about the students here at chemistry. The last thing I wanted to mention was just how much other skill development I got while in chemistry, other than just learning, you know, facts about chemicals. So as well as the knowledge I gained from this degree, because of the opportunities offered in RSC at the Research School of Chemistry at ANU, I was able to develop my skills in teaching, through working as a demonstrator, through mentoring, through acting as a peer mentor in second year, through leading the Chemistry Society. And this is really good because I now feel like I have other skills other than just research and chemistry, and I can go into other things afterwards and have a really good experience there because I've picked up these other skills. And I also managed to get a scholarship for my PhD based on those skills. And there was so much support from the many academics, staff members, other students at ANU who helped me to get that scholarship as well. So overall, just a really fantastic experience. I've loved my time here so much that I signed up for another 3.5 years here, but would highly, highly recommend chemistry at ANU.